Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me. It is Friday. TGIF, as I always say. Thank you for joining me live. We're having a little cup of tea, kind of, sorta, in my tea mug at least. What do you think? Do you like it? Tea time. Do you get it? Some of my merch, right? If you guys haven't seen any of it, last week I finally got to introduce some of the shirts and the mugs and everything. Go over to JCristina.com/shop. Go check that out. There's a whole bunch of it. So anyways, I'm glad that you joined me. There's a bunch of you here already. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. As you can see, I'm by myself. What happened? What is going on? Well, my wife is not feeling too well. So you have this mug. Instead of a beautiful mug, you have this. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So I'm going to try going through the questions as quick as when Fabiola reads them for me. So it probably won't happen, but I'll go as quickly as possible. Do me a favor. Anytime tonight that you want to ask a question, put a Q before the question. It'll help me kind of hone in on the questions a little bit better, or put @JCristina. Either which way, it is helpful. So there's a lot of stuff that went on this week that I want to talk to you guys about. And of course, whatever you guys want to talk about, we can talk about. But I did a bunch of videos this week. Number one, I did one about SpaceX and the US military and how one of the brigadier generals said, listen, we are ready to fight in space. And it was like a really interesting article that I read for you guys and went over. A lot of you were interested in it. So it was kind of, it was one of those things that kind of gets you a little bit, I would say, fearful of what is going on, because we can't see what's going on, but we know on the backside of things, there is a lot. I was reading to you about how China has a spacecraft that can literally pull up next to a satellite and using its arms, grab the satellite, bring it in. What the hell is that? That is some creepy ass shit. What is that? And a lot of you guys said, oh yeah, that's no problem. Just put like a self-destruct on it. And as soon as they bring it on board, it just blows up. I mean, yeah, there's things like that that you can do, I suppose. But I was also reading at the same time that they have this method where they can pull up and then put a small explosive into the cone, into that back portion of the jet, right? Of the craft, of the satellite, and not explode, and just let it sit there like indefinitely. And then whenever it wants to, it just pulls the trigger and the thing blows up, and it looks like there was a malfunction in that craft, in the propulsion system. It's like, oh, well, that's really nice, right? That's kind of cool. So we were talking about that and how Elon flew over to China, and there was like diplomatic stuff going on, basically. And, you know, I want to get into a little bit of that with you guys, as I thought that was very interesting. And then we talked about, before that, the Sony ZV-1 and the ZV-1 Mark II. Some of you had some questions about that. I'm using the ZV-1. Matter of fact, let me just pull down a top down. There you go. That is the ZV-1. So maybe we'll do something with the phone today or whatever. But this is the ZV-1. It works out really, really good. It is a great camera, really small. So we were talking about that, and some of you had some questions about that. And then also, I just did a piece like yesterday that like blew up. There's like 12, 13,000 views or something on it. And I talked about how you can now go into your Starlink router and configure your DNS. That was never a thing. You always had to bypass the Starlink router and then move into a secondary router, right? A third-party router, turning off basically your Wi-Fi in your Starlink router, and then do that type of thing, that kind of configuration in the secondary router. Well, now they gave us ability to do it, which is really quite nice. And I took you guys through it. So maybe we could talk about that too tonight. So anything that you guys want to talk about, you guys let me know. I just want to say hello to everyone. You got John Henry here. How are you doing, my friend? We have John Wolf, Sparky141, Fragile 1973. Sweet. Joe, how are you doing, Joe? We have Rob Fuss. How are you doing? How you doing, Rob? Phil's Camping and Touring. And we have Rubicon. Let's see. Michael, how are you? Flying Pretzel, you're here. Thank you. I heard something about having a hard day today, Flying Pretzel. It happens. It happens, man. Let's see. We have Mick. How are you doing, Mick? Country Soldier, how are you? From Tennessee. Wow, we have people from all over the place. We have California, Tennessee, New Mexico, Texas, everywhere. That's awesome. So anyways, guys, once again, any kind of questions that you have, let me know. Put a Q before it, and I will go through it. I see John says here, all well in Alaska. How are you doing, Alaska? Wow. In the last few weeks, I noticed an improvement or improvements in the standard and high-performance dish. That is great. We're seeing more of the version 1.5s up there. Obviously, they're launching like 50 to 55 at a time. But also, we have about 60 of the version 2.0 mini satellites that are up there. I have not got confirmation yet, at least, that they are actually online. Are they working? Yes, that has definitely been said, that they only lost, I think, 2 or 3 that ended up going back into basically burning up. But there's, I think, about 60 or 59 that are left up there. But I don't think any of them are at operational height. Because remember, they have to get to 520 to 550 kilometers and then get into that pattern to be able to come online. So sometimes, and I've talked to you guys about this in the past, they usually launch them to about, let's call it 300 kilometers, right around there, 230, 300, 320, somewhere on there. And then they slowly, through their propulsion system, push themselves higher and higher and higher until they get to that optimum or that operational orbit. And I don't think any of them have done that yet, or at least I haven't heard it as of yet. Let's see. What do we have here? We have Michael. Michael says, let's see. He says, to answer the question about where I was for my dish point in the direction of the northwest, north, and northeast, I'm in Florida, Panhandle area today. Okay, so that makes sense. So if you're in the Florida Panhandle, your over water spot would be to the west of you, right? Or southwest. So I would imagine that it would probably point that way if possible, but it says today that it's back to northwest. Chances are you're probably low enough in the Panhandle and you're probably getting some of that water off to the side of you. That's normally what happens, because here I'm on the East Coast. My dish used to be pointing northeast, being on the east coast of Florida, right? Now it's pointing almost due east, right over the Atlantic Ocean. So I'm using all the satellites that no one else is using because they're over the ocean, right? So I can use them because I'm right off the coast. So that's probably the same thing that holds true with the Gulf of Mexico where you are, I'm going to guess. Now, I have heard from a lot of people on the other coast, on the West Coast, California, and on the other side where their dish is now pointing west. Once again, over now the Pacific, which is really interesting. But it makes sense, right? You might as well use all of that extra data or connectivity that's not being used while it's over the ocean. This is all it's going to be is you're going to have a couple of boats and maybe a plane. And that's really about it, right? So you might as well use it. John says, what do you think about T-Mobile and Starlink can use your own phone? So yeah, T-Mobile and Starlink using your own phone, they have been working on this for a while. And the new version 2.0s, and I think the 2.0 minis do have functionality that would allow the satellites to communicate, or your phone actually too, to communicate through the T-Mobile network. Because what is going on is now that Elon's in bed, let's call it, with T-Mobile, they're going to be working side by side doing backhauling of data between each other. So if for any reason there is a portion of, let's say, the country or wherever you are where there is no cell tower, well, Starlink will pick up the gap, right? That's the whole idea of it. But how is it going to work? I really don't know. Will they be able to pick up the signal inside of a building? I'm going to say no. I don't know how they're going to do it. All right. I really don't. I don't have any insider information on it, but I know they're working on it. And they've said for a long time that there should be a Tesla phone or a Pi phone or whatever you want to call it, some type of Elon phone to come out. I'm eager to see that. I mean, I'll trade in my iPhone like tomorrow to grab a SpaceX phone. I think it'd be cool just to have it. I mean, come on, you could talk to Mars. Something like that. Let's see what else we have. How you doing? We have Oregon, New Zealand. New Zealand, how are you doing? New Zealand, wow. Big Daddy-O 79, sup from PA. How are you doing? Let's see. Big Daddy says, I use the DNS that filters malware and adult sites and got the best speeds. Yes, you did. So in that video that I did, I talked about DNS and how you can set it up, for yourself. And I was saying that Cloudflare is the one that works really well for me. You can use Google, you can use OpenDNS, Dyn, there's a whole bunch of them, right? Well, what someone wrote into me, which I was not aware of, that if you set up in your Starlink app, if you set up service for, I believe it's considered malware and, let me see. I'm going to look it up right now. Matter of fact, let me do this. Let's see, custom DNS. Let's see if we can put this in here. Advanced, bypassed. Here, content filtering. Let me pop over to my top-down camera here. Can we read that? Does it work? It looks like it does. So do you see this here, guys? It says content filtering. This is in your app. So if you don't know where to go to get to it, you go to settings, and then you come down here. See where it says custom DNS? We don't want that. We want right above it where it says content filtering. So it says that you can use this to filter content. So right now, filtering, there's no filtering going on. It is off. But you can set this up for malware filtering. So it says it filters known malicious content. And then you also have malware and adult content, which filters adult and malicious content. What I found out here is if you use any one of these settings, it will automatically pipe you over to the 1.1.1.1, right? Which is Cloudflare. It's not actually 1.1.1.1. It's like 1.1.1.3 or 1.1.1.2 or whatever. Anyways, it pipes you over there. So what that means to me is now Elon has changed from using Google to using Cloudflare. Google and Elon was this, they were sharing data centers and all kinds of other stuff. So I don't know if things have changed and maybe, he's no longer with Google, because you would imagine he would be using one of Google's malware or adult site filtering DNS type of provisioning, right? But he's not. He's using Cloudflare. So that's really, really good. If you do not want to use the malware or the adult filtering, what you would do, let me show you this again. And a lot of people were really excited about this. But this is like big stuff. I mean, we couldn't do this in the past. What you would do is you come down here to custom DNS, click on that, and you see how I have it already set up. It says enable DNS or custom DNS. I have it set for 1.1.1.1 for primary. And then as you can see, the secondary, instead of being 1.0.0.1, which would be the normal secondary that you would use, I'm using 8.8.8.8. Why do I do that? Well, the reason I do that is so that it doesn't matter if Google went down, which is 8.8.8.8, doesn't matter, because then Cloudflare would pick up the DNS traffic for me. And if Cloudflare went down, which is 1.1.1.1, well, the secondary would be Google. So I like to do that instead of putting all of my eggs in one basket. I think that is probably the smartest way to do DNS, because either way, you're still going to have some type of throughput, right? Because remember, if DNS is not working, you will not be able to do anything, because you need that name lookup. So when you type in JCristina.com, it actually transfers you to a specific IP address. And I even looked that up. I was like surprised, because I'm like, oh my God, that's a horrible IP address. Let me see if I can find that here. It was, let me see here. I think it was like 35 dot something. Anyways, it's a 6 decimal long number. And that's what you would normally have to use. It's like just going to a street address, right? DNS is like the white pages. So you look up, let's say JCristina, you look up Christina, and then you say comma, Joseph, and then next to it is a phone number. Well, instead of a phone number, it's an IP address that goes over to my website. That's basically what DNS does, right? It is the white pages of the internet. And if your white pages aren't working, once again, you're dead in the water. So anyways, yeah, DNS is really cool now that we have that ability to do it in our phone. Like, wow, I can't even believe it. That is fantastic in comparison to before having to use a third-party router. Let's see what else. We have Scott here, New Zealand. How you doing, Scott? Light Welder, Vancouver. How are you doing? Cynthia, how are you doing, Cynthia? We have Mick. Let's see. Country Soldier says, my Starlink bill went to $120 total. This last billing cycle, I thought I'd hear they were not going to. I heard that they weren't going to do it. Yes, some people got the raise from 110 to 120. Some people went from 110 to 90, and it has to do, according to what SpaceX says, it has to do with how much traffic you have in your area. If you have a lot of traffic, then you get charged a higher amount. If you have lower traffic, they charge you a lower amount because there's not that many people using it in your area, right? So they just charge less, which I think is nice that they actually charge less, because that's not the normal thing, right? Most ISPs, they just charge more and more and more and more. Then again, I started out with Starlink at $99, just coming out of beta. From $99, it went to $110. And now, just like you, I'm at $120 too. It kind of is what it is. I'm still very happy about it, even though I'm not happy about getting charged more. Still happy about the Surface. Let's see. Big Daddy who says, how do I check the DNS speed from my phone? It's really difficult to do. I really did a very high level look at DNS because, I mean, you can go through Dig. There's a bunch of online sources that you can use to be able to test DNS servers and stuff. What I did was very just not getting too deep into it. I was just simply pinging them just to see how fast or how many, even more, I guess more importantly, how many hops is it for that specific DNS server. So what you could do is you can do a trace route, right? If you're on a Mac, or you can do trace RT on a PC, I believe. And you can put in 1.1.1.1, or you could do a trace route to 8.8.8.8, for example. And you can see how many hops it takes to get there and how long it takes to get there from where you are. And for me, I just like to use one that has less hops and that is faster. So lower milliseconds to get there. And it just simply speeds up the web pages from them, let's say, figuring out what the JCristina.com is in comparison to the actual long number, right? Looking that stuff up. So it ends up moving quicker. So that's what I do. But I might do another video and get really deep. I know no one's going to watch it because it'll get just too geeky, and but I might do it because there's a couple of people say, oh, you're really high level on that. That's not exactly how you do it. It's like, I know. But, how deep can I go with this stuff? I'm just trying to explain something and making you aware that now you can actually change your DNS server in your Starlink router that you never were able to do before, which is really cool. Let's see. Papernaut. I like that. Papernaut. I like that. He says, hello from Southern Illinois. Third week on Starlink, and all is fine. 0 outages. Noticeable impact compared to MediaCom. Yeah. Just most people are really having, good luck with Starlink, especially now. Starlink is getting better and better. You know what? Let's do a top down again real quick, and let's take a look at my statistics. Can we see this? Yes. So these are my statistics. Let me hit outages. So let me do, this is 2-second outages. And as you can see, 5:22, there was a 2-second outage. At 4:41, a 2-second outage, and then or 3-second, and then at 12:35, there was a 2-second outage. 5-second outages, there's absolutely none. And then 0.1 second outage. Do you see all these? These are 0.1 seconds, or 2 seconds, 1 second. So these are the very small outages, let's say. But bear in mind, those little outages are the reason why I use Speedify. Matter of fact, let me pull that up real quick so you guys can see it. I'm going to leave that running for a few minutes so you can watch that graph. And as you can see, Speedify right now says streaming redundantly. What that means is it understands that I am streaming. So instead of it bonding the two pairs for speed, it is bonding T-Mobile and my Starlink together, but for redundancy. So it's mirroring the packets going down, let's say 2 tunnels, going down this ISP, going down this ISP, going down Starlink, going down T-Mobile, so that no matter what, I won't go down. So you shouldn't see me start spinning or turn into like a Minecraft character or something like that, as I always say, because we have those 2 tunnels. And if I was to introduce AT&T into this mix, which I will pretty soon, I'll probably do a video on it, then it'll be sending those packets down 3 tunnels. So no matter what, one of them is going to get there. And the fastest one that gets there wins, and the other packets get thrown out. That's basically how it goes. So this is the reason why I do this, because all those little micro outages that we see with non-terrestrial type of service, satellite service, if you use HughesNet or you use Viasat, both complete crap, but if you use it, you know that you're constantly going down. Whenever you're dealing with a satellite, there's handshakes between the satellites that go on, and there is these little micro outages. So when you're streaming, you don't want those. You're doing a Zoom meeting or a conference call of some kind, or like what we're doing here is streaming. We don't want that to happen. So that's why I'm using Speedify to make this happen, or not happen, so to speak. So anyways, let's go into Phil. Phil Camping and Touring. Mine still points to where it was from 7 months ago. That's good. Phil, you're probably more in the middle, let's say, of the country, wherever you are. I'm going to guess not towards the coast, because on the coast, they're almost always pointing over the ocean. Let's see. Paul says, thanks for the heads up on the DNS check on your video. I have been using Cloudflare and Google and OpenDNS was an issue for me. Yes. OpenDNS, for some reason I have a problem with too. Some reason they have more like small little outages. Matter of fact, when I did the video, if you watch it from today, if you watch that, it was yesterday's video. If you watch that, you'll see there was actually where there was like timeouts. We don't want timeouts when we're doing DNS, because then it's like the request timeout, it has to request it again, get the packet back and forth. You don't want that, right? So yeah, I have a problem sometimes also with it. So I stick with Cloudflare for me. I used to use Google 8.8.8.8 all the time, but now I found that Cloudflare for the most part is quicker. So I basically use both. One for the primary and one for the secondary. Let's see, Paul Hill. How are you doing, Paul? Let me see. We don't want to miss anybody here. Let me scroll down here. And we have, let's see. Big Daddy-O says he just got his 1 month ago and he's paying $120 per month. Yeah, I think everyone is paying $120 at this point, unless you're in those areas where there's not a lot of people. Let's see here. We have Paul says, or let's see, Roy Robbins says, I was on the beach in North Carolina and my dish was pointing due east out to the sea. Exactly. That's what it's supposed to do. It was foggy and rainy, but was working great. Used to never work in these conditions. Yeah, they're definitely getting better. And the reason being is you're getting more and more satellites up there. So you're not having this time where there is no connection, let's say. So that's really, really good. I mean, like right now, we're streaming. We might have some outages. And if you see any outages, bear with me, because we have Starlink, which is trying to connect, right, through this patch of clouds. It's like raining and drizzling and then raining some more. And then we also have T-Mobile, which is trying to connect to, once again, to a tower about 2 miles away. So we might have an outage. If we have any outage, that's the reason, because we are having a storm that's been rolling through for the last couple of hours. Light Welder says, any information on the Pi phone will be available in Canada? Not so far. I really would like to see the Pi phone. Haven't seen or heard of it yet. Jeff says, thanks for the DNS update and the Google and the open DNS. You're welcome, Jeff. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Jeff says, southwest of Portland, Oregon. Nice. How are you doing? Portland, Oregon. We have people from everywhere today, near to Newburgh. That's what Jeff says here. What we have, Ranch Daddy says, let's see, grandkids in Newburgh. All right, you guys are talking in between each other. That's good. Let's see, Ian says, good evening. No wife tonight, giving her a break. Actually, she's giving herself a break, and the reason being is she's sick. It is what it is. Once again, you have to look at this mug instead of my beautiful wife. I am sorry, guys. I am sorry. Hey, does anyone notice that my audio has changed a little bit in the last couple of videos? I know a couple of you guys did. tell me what sounds better. All right. So right now I'm talking to you guys on one mic. All right. Let's call this mic A. All right. And now let me switch. Now I'm talking to you on mic B. Tell me which one sounds better. Once again, this is mic A. Excuse me, this is mic B. And this is mic A. Which one sounds better? So I've been doing a bunch of testing with mics out of frame here, so I don't have this like big mic sticking here like a podcast. I just feel like, I was doing podcasting, okay, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, somewhere on there. We were doing Digital Photography Cafe, traveling the country, doing all of the stuff, interviewing all of the movers and shakers in the video and the photo industry, all the CEOs and all the rest of this stuff at PhotoPlus Expo, at WPPI, at all of the different things, okay? And so I've been doing podcasting for so damn long that now, like, podcasting is the thing, and it's like, I've already done it for over a decade, and just to have the mic sitting here all the time, like in the way, it just kind of makes me crazy, okay? So anyways, we have an RE20, and then we have a couple of pencil condenser mics that I'm using now that I just love. They're so small and lightweight and out of the frame. Anyways, let me know what you down below, mic A or mic B. What do you like better? I'm going to stay on this one for right now. Let's see. What do we have here? Phil. Let's see. Let me make sure. Once again, put a Q before your question. It'll make it a lot easier for me to be able to see the questions. And then also, if you don't want to put Q, you can also do @JCristina. It'll make it pop up also, which is kind of cool. Do that for me. That would be very, very helpful. Let's see. Andrew says, original beta user in North Ontario, Canada. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's awesome, Andrew. I love to hear that. Another beta customer to Starlink. That means you've been around for almost 2 years now, right? A year and a half or more, like me. Let's see. Will of Texas. Hello, everyone. How are you doing, Will? We have Big Daddy-O says, it's hard to believe that South PA has lots of users only because every time I talk to anyone here about it, they have no idea who Elon even is. Yeah, I know. But trust me, there is a lot of people. There is now 1.5 million people on Starlink. When I started, it was under 100,000. And I took a look at my dish because I got the first version 2, the V2 dish, that came out right after beta. So it was like Gen 1 and then the round dish and then Gen 2. I have dish, I think it's like numbered 2000 something written on it, 2100, 2000 something. So you can imagine, I mean, but now we have 1.5 million customers worldwide. That is crazy. In such a small period of time. You're looking at a year and a half. So like in 5 years from now, we can very easily see 10 million customers on Starlink. Business customers, individual customers, RVers, people that are traveling all over the place, all of these different companies like maritime. So you have your boats, you have the planes, trains, you have UFOs, everything has a Starlink dish on it. Matter of fact, there was an article that I was reading, or a tweet I was reading over on, I think it was SpaceX's website or SpaceX's Twitter. Yeah, here we go. Let me bring this up. Check this out. You see this, guys? Look at this. Look at this. Tell me this is not amazing. Because to me, I think this is pretty amazing. Look what it says. It says Starlink set an altitude and speed record for use of in-flight during Starship's first test flight, or flight test, providing connectivity at 123,600 feet while traveling at Mach 1.7. So, and Starlink was working during that period of time. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, like I said, there will be, it is growing by leaps and bounds. And I really do believe that, and I've said this in the past, and I'm going to keep saying it, I do believe eventually we're going to see NOCs, network operations centers, massive satellites in LEO, where most of the traffic is going to happen through lasers between satellite to satellite to satellite, and the traffic that goes down to Earth is going to be going down to your dish. They might only have to hit a pop or a point of presence, and that's it. Ground stations are probably going to go the way of the dinosaur. And that's in a very short period of time, because you're just not going to need them, or not that much of them, let's say. A lot of people think that a lot of the speed loss between our dish and the satellites is due to the distance, right? 550 kilometers. No, that speed, your data from your dish to 550 kilometers in space is literally 2 to 5 milliseconds. 2 to 5 milliseconds. So when you see 30, 40, 50 milliseconds, all of that extra time is terrestrial. It's all on the ground, from place to place to place, from hop to hop to hop to hop. But when all those hops are gone, and the only hops that are happening are in space via lasers, we're going to see some amazing speeds, guys. This is my prediction. I could be wrong, but I think we're going to see some amazing speeds. Let me get back into some questions here. Let's see. Ranch Daddy. How are you doing, Ranch Daddy? Tranquil Base. The overhead camera is mirrored. It is mirrored. Does that mean that it's not working correct, or is it? Let me take a look at that, because I've checked this once before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let me just check this to see how it is. Is it mirrored? It is mirrored. Look at that. It is annoying. That really is, because I've changed this in the past. Let me see if I can change it for you guys. Let me try switching it, see if that works. And look at that. All right. But for some reason, every time I get out of OBS, it's not like that anymore. What do you want for free, right? What do you want for free? Thank you for letting me know about that. Tranquility Base. Appreciate it. Let's see. Big Daddy says one outage. It says outage enough to disconnect a game or just look like rubber banding. Yeah. So, So if you see a 0.1 outage, it's not going to disconnect the game. What could disconnect the game is a 2-second outage or a 5-second outage or something like that. Those small outages are going to be what will really reduce your ping, right? Or increase your ping. So you'll end up, if you're doing a first-person shooter, you'll probably get shot and you won't even know that you got shot for a second. And you're like, hey, what the heck happened? You just fall to the ground. That's what ends up happening. And that's why satellite is still not there just yet. It will be, but just not yet. Let's see. Papernaut says, no, I choose the name because I want to post origami and paper airplane videos, data warehouse art. That is awesome, Papernaut. And he's going to be, so Papernaut, have you done any videos on paper origami? Love to see it. Let us know. That's cool stuff. That is really cool stuff. Scott, how are you doing, Scott? He says, question, Joe, when you show your phone above the camera and everything is backwards. Yes, I know. It should be fine now. Whenever I show the phone, it should be okay. Thanks a lot for that. I appreciate it. Cynthia says, question, what is a good way to get better range from your Starlink router? Cynthia, that is a great question. Obviously, you can put your Starlink router in a centralized spot, right? In the center of your home. That's the best way, right? But that is the cheapest way because you don't really have to do anything, right? The other thing that you could do is you could put repeaters and then repeat that traffic. I don't like repeaters. The absolute top, creme de la creme, the way to do it is to build a mesh network. So to do that, I actually did a video on it. So if you take a look at my Starlink playlist, I did a video on mesh networks. There's like a girl with like mesh stockings and she's wearing like purple or something. So you'll be able to find it. It's in the 155 videos I did on Starlink so far. You'll see it there. Just detailed information on how to build a mesh network. Now you could build a mesh network using additional Starlink routers and then just simply adding a router to build it out. That is the easiest way, okay? Not the cheapest way, but the easiest way. The cheapest way is what I show in my video, and I did a TP-Link mesh system, as well as internal as well as external, indoor as well as outdoor. So right now, all of our internal to the home and office is meshed. So it doesn't matter where you go, you have optimum signal. But also outside on our 5 acres, you could literally go to the back. You could be on a tractor, let's say, on the back of the property and surfing the web through Wi-Fi. which is craziness, right? But that is the power of using one of these mesh networks, because you can put them wherever you want. So anyways, check that out. That's a really great question, and it is something that I have answered. Let's see. Back upside down. Viewer, let's see. Let's come up here. We don't want to miss anyone. Let's see. Papernaut says, last outage on Mediacom, the day I put the Starlink dish up, and it was about 8 hours. My goodness. Yeah. Same way with that you have with Mediacom being kind of crappy is the same thing that I had with AT&T. Absolute garbage. And once we moved over to Starlink, never looked back. Matter of fact, once we did get Starlink, we immediately cut the cord. We went to Dish Network, which I had Dish Network, which is just like DirecTV, right? We had Dish Network for about 15 years, and they were horrible to us. And they just kept on raising the rate. And then finally I said, you know what? We're going to shut you guys down. And they lost it. They're like, oh, we're going to give you this discount and that discount, and you don't have to sign up again. We're going to send you all new hardware, latest and greatest hardware with the DVR and all of this nonsense. And I basically told them to pound sand. So I ended up buying a little tiny Fire Stick, stuck that in the back of the TV, used Starlink, and never looked back. That was the end of it. So we lost the Dish Network, and we also are no longer using the AT&T. It's there, but just as backup. So everything is fantastic. Once again, once we ended up with Starlink, we were able to literally cut the cord completely. Let's see. Cynthia, we answered that. A matter of fact, Papernaut says to check out the T-Link mesh router or the Deco X55. Those are both, that's fantastic. Good information there. Once again, I do have a video on that. Mike B has more treble. There you go. Mike B was the RE20 radio mic. Phil, I went live last week with Speedify, saved me 38. Look at that. So here we go. So Phil Camping and Touring said that he went live last week using Speedify, and it saved me, or saved him, 38 times from buffering and 7 times from disconnecting, and 1.5 hour stream. So there you go. Matter of fact, if you guys look now, let me do to split screen here. As you can see, if I just scroll down a little bit, you can see right here, it says what's going on. We're online so far for 38 minutes. It says saved from excessive latency or packet loss 39 times. And it says saved by connection failover 6 times. All right. So what that means, guys, is that the latency got bad enough for it to move from T-Mobile to Starlink, or from Starlink to T-Mobile. And either T-Mobile or Starlink went down, and it saved it by moving the packets from, or that failover from one to the other. So this is the kind of thing that is just really great about using this Speedify stuff. That's why I've been really like singing their praises. I mean, they came aboard with us about a month ago, and I started using them. And honestly, I was like, you know, I'm like a hardware guy. You know, I don't know about this software crap. I like to build out a router, put in multiple redundant connections, and do all of my magic inside the router. I'm like, you know what? Let me try this software solution to see if it would actually work. And I tried it, and I was like, holy crap. This is actually doing everything that all of these routers, if you guys remember, if you've been with me for the last 6 months, I did test after test after test and review after review after review of all these routers, right? Trying to figure out what router would actually be able to fail over properly or load balance properly, and none of them worked well. The only one that did a good job was the PepLink, and that PepLink was a 20X, I believe it was, the one that we used, and it was like $500. And then the add-on module was another couple hundred, and then the monthly was another piece, and then the yearly was another. So it was like a whole big thing for what I'm getting with just Speedify. So some people have said, is there a way to be able to use that instead of just on one computer, use it through a hardware solution? And the answer to that is yes, and that is a video that I'll probably do in the future. So hang in there for that. But yeah, this thing just works out awesome. I really, really love it. Matter of fact, if you guys are interested, I think in this video description, or all of my videos, I think you can see like a promo code. The promo code is JCristina if you go over to speedify.com. If you just want to go to a site, right, to make it nice and easy, you can go to my website, which is, let me see, jcristina.com/speed. I'll just stick it in here so you can see it. It should pop up. If you go there, it automatically gives you 20% off, which makes it really super simple. So, but anyways, it works out really good. Thank you so much, Phil, for that. I'm so glad that you're actually happy with it, and it's saving you when you're doing your streams. That's fantastic. John Wolf says mic 1. Phil says mic A. It's funny now. We're starting to get like a little bit of a disparity on, which mic is better, because originally it was always, hey, the RE20 is a radio mic. That is the better mic. And people are saying that they like the A better. Or let's say a lot of you have been saying that the A is sounding better. I do have Big Daddy says B sounds like I'm listening through a subwoofer. So there you go. And that is the difference between a radio mic, which is that boomy, but I'm using it almost as a boom mic in comparison to using it as a condenser mic, where it should be like literally an inch from your mouth. But since I don't want it in frame, I always have it away from me. And these little pencil condenser mics just simply work out better. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can I do this? I might be able to do this. Maybe, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm going to show you guys, and hopefully it comes the right way. Let me see. Let me see if this actually will work. I think it will. Yeah, this is a way to get something done, right? There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you what this looks like. And let me get this top-down camera again. There we go. So this is it. So here, let me just flip this around and see so you can see it. Let me see if it'll flop. There it is. So right here is the RE20 hanging right here. And then over here, we can see two. There's one and there's two. So you have a left channel and a right channel of these little tiny pencil condenser mics. And I'm telling you guys, I am literally floored by how well these things work. I'll probably do a review on them in the next couple of weeks, because they really are that damn good. I'm just these mics are literally, let's say, $100 or thereabouts, whereas the RE20 is like $500. The DBX 286 that I'm using to power this thing, the compressor, is like $250, $300. I mean, it's $1,000 setup, where this thing is like literally, call it a $200. And so this is like 5 times more, and I don't think it's giving us 5 times better quality from the distance. Now, if it's in here, that's a different story, but I just don't want it in here. Something like that. You know what I mean? Let's see. Mic A, please. There you go. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm saying. Let's see. Ryan, how are you doing? Ryan, Mic A, he says. Atomic MK Biker says Mic A also. There's a lot of Mic A's. Crime Scene Tape. SpaceX Now, I know how I ended up here. And there you go. Ian says, question. Some companies put up wind farms with 850-foot towers south of Nantucket. Or, let's see, in the vineyards, Starlink and cell phone equipment use some of them offshore data. Yeah, so that absolutely is the case. Well, yeah, they're putting wind farms out there offshore, whereas if they do have any type of Starlink attached to those, it's just a small amount of data. The same thing with the planes that are out there, the same thing with the boats, very small amount of data. So that's why they're taking all of our dish and sending them, if you're on the coast, sending them over the ocean, so that this way we can use that data that's just simply being wasted. Jeff says, I think I was here first in my area, but I was several he was first in his area with the Starlink antenna on my road, is what he said. Hello from Jamaica. How are you doing, Benny? How's it going? Glad to see you here. ML, off topic, Ian adapter, let's see, dongle dropping out with unassigned IP, switched out 4 times or 4 of them, I guess, and keeps happening. Starlink not really helping apart from sending parts. So, ML, are you saying that your dongle adapter is failing and they've sent 4 of them out to you so far? Let me know what's going on with that, because if that's the case, I know they had a problem with their dongles. And I did a whole video on the dongles and literally breaking it apart and showing you what's inside the dongle and how to repair it. And you can see that in the 150 videos I did on the Starlink playlist podcast. But check into that, because I do show you like what to look for. I also, in one of my videos, teach you how to splice wire. So you might have a bad wire, or you might have a bad connector. So by them swapping out parts, I want to see them do a full kit swap out, because there's no reason to send you 4 dongles if that's really what's going on. That's just ridiculous. There's no reason for that, because that's obviously not your problem. So, you know, I'm seeing by your avatar, there's whiteness behind you. Chances are that's probably snow. And if that's the case, you're probably in a cold climate. If you are, some of the dish are heating up too hot. Sometimes the heaters are overheating. Sometimes the heat is not working. There's a lot of like heating issues. Remember, there's no heater inside these dish. All right. Everyone thinks, oh, you're turning on the heater. That's not what goes on. The reason why they get hot to melt snow is the router pushes out to the modem, or to the circuitry, it is a modem, inside the dish. The modem is actually inside your dish. Well, it pushes out to it more amperage, okay, more load, okay? And that's what heats up the elements, let's say, inside the dish. So there's not actually a heater in there. But by so doing, right, remember, amperage is it's really important to have thick cable. And the cable that I see that SpaceX Starlink has sent out, I think is a little bit thin for the amperage that is needed to keep the heater on in the dish for extended periods of time. And I think that's why they were having a lot of failures at the ends, at the connector ends, right? Not in the router, not in the modem, but the cables. The cables were like melting. So anyways, look into that. You might, if you have not got a new cable, try switching out your cable. That might actually fix it for you. That was ML. Let's see. Bajar, how are you doing? It says remember to like and hit the like button. Thank you so much for that. If you guys do have a second and you're just sitting there listening to my nonsense, throw the video a like. Hit that thumbs up button. That is very helpful, because more people will find it that way. YouTube is like one of those type of entities that you think that there's something that you can do to try to like do something with the algorithm. The thing is there is no algorithm. It's just people, right? We are the people. So for example, when I make really good content, right, the video does well. If I make something that's kind of ho-hum, well, it doesn't do well. I can't blame YouTube for that. I have to blame myself, because it's not really an algorithm, so to speak. It's like what people are liking. So if you like the channel and you subscribe to it, or you like this content and you comment, YouTube says, hey, there's a lot of interaction here. Maybe we'll show other people that are interested in Starlink stuff, or interested in photography or videography or whatever. So that's very helpful. If you guys can do that and throw the live a thumbs up, that would be awesome. And I always have to say thank you for all the people that over these many weeks have sent in $1 or $2 with super chats. I appreciate you guys. It was so nice. I tell my wife this all the time. Thank you. Let's see. Scott says 1.5 million Starlink customers. Isn't that many worldwide? The population of, yeah, I know it's not a lot, but remember, Scott, 1.5 million, it was only 100,000 a year ago, right? So you're looking at, a major increase, okay? 10-fold. So keep that in mind, 15-fold. Phil Camping says, my channel is named because I filmed reviews on camping equipment. Thinking about changing it to Phil's Camping Reviews. There you go. Sometimes naming the channel is helpful when you first start, naming it whatever it is. I used to have my channel named as JC, photography, videography, and all this stuff, but I've been doing a lot of tech stuff, and I don't want to just pigeonhole just into tech. I've been doing a lot of Starlink. That's just because you guys want it. That's why I do it. But that's why the channel is just named JCristina, and that's it. It's just I'm branding myself at this point. Renee says, question: any new news regarding the V2 minis going active? Have you heard of others complaining that when attempting to download huge files, games, after some time, the speed seems to throttle down to 50 megabits per second? I have not heard of that. I don't know if it's actually throttling down or if it's just you're in between satellites, because remember, you are going and having there's a handshake between satellites every so many minutes. The satellites are coming by at 17,000 miles per hour. So they're whipping by pretty quick. Okay, so they can't constantly have to do these handshakes, and in between these handshakes we do see these small micro outages, and that will definitely bump your speeds down. So that could be one of the problems. As far as the version 2 minis, they lost 2 or 3 or 4 of them, whatever, back to Earth. Basically they burned up in the atmosphere, but I think there's about 60 that are operational right now. They're working, but they're not at operational height. So that means they're not like at 520 kilometers, 530, 550 kilometers. They are not working as of yet, according to what I understand. So as soon as those come online, those are going to be a major benefit, because they have 4 times the connectivity as the version 1.5s. And they both have the lasers built in. So they're going to be talking together. A lot of chit chat through lasers. Very quick. So that's what's going to be going on. Don't know when they are coming live, but as soon as they do and I hear anything, I will definitely let you know. It says share a link. Let's get 100 viewers. That would be sweet. Definitely share the link. See if we can get a whole bunch of people in here. That'd be great. We have 60 or 70 people right now. That's awesome. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here. It's Friday night. Hang out with me. And I don't even have my beautiful wife with me. Let's see. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Absolutely. Cynthia says thank you. I do appreciate that. I'm glad that it was helpful. Let's see. Roy says, I am getting ready to put a mesh network in my motorhome so I can switch from Starlink to T-Mobile. Allows to not have to reprogram. Exactly. So what you want to do is create the reason why you build a mesh. A lot of people, they hear mesh and it sounds like it's really complicated. It's not complicated. The reason you use a mesh is so that you can hand over from your phone. Let's say you're walking around your motorhome, or you're walking outside and you're leaving your home, but you have outside connectivity, or you have a large house and you're going from end to end and your signal gets weak as you get from one end to the other end, right? Well, a mesh networks keeps your system or your setting or your connectivity to maximum all the time. Whereas what a lot of people will do is they'll have multiple routers with the same SSID, the same name. Like mine is called Mr. Bevel, right? That's what I call Starlink, right? So they'll have Mr. Bevel here on one side with one router, and then on the other side of the house they'll have a Mr. Bevel over there, both the same SSID, so it's the same name, and then they'll have the same passwords. So this way when they go to the other house, they can pick up where they left off, supposedly. The problem with that is you actually have to disconnect and then reconnect. Right? So there is a physical disconnect and reconnect to be able to move from side to side to the home. Whereas with a mesh network, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter where you are in the home. The mesh always seeks out the closest or the signal that is the strongest to you. So when you walk to the other side of the house, it picks up the mesh portion or your mesh router on that side of the house automatically, auto-magically. Right? So that's why you really want to build a mesh network, and you don't want to do it the other way with this whole SSID thing or whatever. So once again, watch that video. Maybe I'll put a link later on in here. Check out that Starlink playlist. You'll see it in there. Search for mesh. You'll probably see it. Once again, there's like a girl with like mesh stockings, I think I put in there on the thumbnail. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's see, we have 5 millisecond speed would be fun. Yeah, that would be sweet. Phil, let's see, game changer was Speedify for YouTubers. Yes, absolutely. Speedify is definitely the game changer. Let's see, Ian. Ian says, question. I watched the podcast, Cutting the Cord. They were saying another 5 to 10. There may be no cable TV, or not, maybe 5 or 10 years, maybe no more cable TV as far as TV, maybe data only, ESPN and so on. Yes. So I'm not sure about that podcast that you're listening to, Cutting the Cord. But yes, 5-10 years, definitely. Remember, everything is data today. All right, Ian. That doesn't really, AT&T, the writing is on the wall. All of them, T-Mobile, Verizon, doesn't matter who they are, right? They understand that everything is data. The whole, that's why they don't sell you, oh, you can only send this number of text messages. That shit's gone, right? No more of that. You don't say, oh, you can only have this number of minutes. Gone. They can't sell it per minute anymore. There's no way to do it. Why? Because it's data. As long as you can get data, you can do VoIP or voice over IP, or you can send a message, right? So everything is data. So absolutely, Cutting the Cord is a no-brainer today. If you are using Dish Network or if you're using DirecTV, go tell them to pound sand. If you have access to fat cable, being like Cox or one of the other cable network companies in your area, or if you have access to fiber or you have access to SpaceX Starlink, tell these companies to go pound sand. That's all you need is the data, and that is it. You don't even need a phone system anymore because you can do VoIP, voice over IP, right? Very, very easy to cut the cord today, not in 5 or 10 years, right? So just keep that in mind. I did it about 2 years ago, and there was absolutely I never looked back. Never looked back. Let's see. Phil had a question. He says, I was wondering how Speedify works with 2 separate Starlinks. Have you ever tried? So yes, you can use Speedify with 2 separate Starlinks, with 5, 10 Starlinks if you want to. But remember, the Starlinks, if they go down, right, chances are they will all go down because they're picking up a satellite. And if there's no satellites, all 4 of them will go down, or both of them will go down. So for me, I always like to do redundant things. That's why with my DNS, I have Google DNS 8.8.8.8, and then a secondary DNS, which is 1.1.1.1, or I do it vice versa, because I like redundancy. And that's the same reason why I have 1 Starlink router instead of 2, or 1 Starlink account instead of 2. I have Starlink and I have T-Mobile. Why? Once again, redundancy. Redundancy is second to godliness, in my personal opinion. Let's see. Phil said, give Rode mics a try. I've tried a bunch of them. I have, matter of fact, I think over there some wireless Rode mics, and I did some reviews on them. And honestly, they were okay. They were okay. They were a little spotty. I didn't like them. You could take a look at some of those. I got like 900 videos on this channel now. I know I did. Just do like Rode review or something. You'll find one of my. I did so many mic reviews. I did a lot for like a month straight. I did a ton. Let's see. Big Daddy says Dish should be ashamed of themselves. All the money and no improvements. Facts. Those are facts, Big Daddy-o. Dish, DirecTV, AT&T, or all these people, right? They should all be ashamed of themselves, but they've been screwing the public for so many years. The other 2 companies, right? HughesNet, Viasat, screwing the public just horrendously. Now companies like HughesNet and Viasat are scrambling. They're like, what the hell are we going to do? This Elon guy has like ruined it for us. We were making hand over fist on all of these poor saps that were living off grid, right? These podunkers, right? That's the way they look at it. They're like, oh yeah, we just screw them. Well, now they're done. Because if anyone can get SpaceX Starlink, they're going to take that all day long over Viasat or Hughes Network, and I hope both of them go out of business. Okay? Because once again, they've screwed people for long enough. They've made their money, and I hope they saved it. And their coffers are nice and thick because it's time for retirement now. Okay? That's my personal opinion, right? Not salty, but I'm just telling you. That's my personal opinion. Let me see. Big Daddy-o said, I'm just waiting for quantum computing. Yeah, we're all going to wait for that. Gaming will be insane. Yes, that would be kind of cool. Search and destroy. Never met anyone with my name. Wow. JCristina. What's the name? What's the name? Search and destroy. What is the name? Is it Joseph? Is it Christina? John K. Wolf says, I have T-Mobile home. Can I just hook up a mesh router? You can. You can. Matter of fact, the way I have this set up right now with Speedify is I have my Starlink coming through Ethernet, and I have the mesh, I have the T-Mobile router through wireless, through Wi-Fi, and I'm merging them together like that. Renee says Starlink at 1.5 million users. Global HughesNet is servicing 1.5 million customers across North and South America. Starlink will pass them just in the U.S. soon. 100%. Yeah, they're, like I said, HughesNet and Viasat, they're gone. Their days are numbered. Don Olson, how are you doing, Don? Don says, have you ever used DNS Bench by Steve Gibbs? Yes, so I was just looking at that on the computer back there. Right now it's doing like a screensaver. But yes, I have looked at that. It's very cool. It's very detailed. But I don't know if I want to do a video on it, because honestly, I think it just goes over a lot of people's heads. And yes, while it is awesome, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do a video on it. But yes, you can use dig. I'm a Unix guy, so in Linux I would use dig. I would do trace routes and take a look at how many hops and a lot of other stuff. But for the usual everyday user, that's why I did the video that I did. I tried making it as basic as possible, just to show how to ping, for example, and then using that as a baseline, like how far away are you from either from your 1.1.1.1 or your 8.8.8.8, your Cloudflare or your Google. So that's the reason why I did what I did in this last video. Let me see. Phil says, I was wondering if in regards to two Starlink servers side by side, if one would pick up separate sat. No, so not really. I mean, it's going to pick up the same satellite. The only time is if you had two dish networks, let's say, and they were like the flat ones, and you pointed one straight flat and you took the other one and like pointed it over the ocean, let's say, that would probably work. I don't think you're supposed to do that. But yes, they would have to be pointing at different directions, right, to pick up different satellites, I believe. Remember, I don't work for these people, so I'm speculating, but that would make sense to me. It says, I'm hoping, let me see, Big Daddy-O says, I'm hoping that Elon put Comcast out of business. Yeah. Like I said, all of these, I mean, copper isn't going to go away anytime soon. The reason being is it's thick stranded, right? It's a thick internal base to the line that they've run, meaning that you can just crank up the signal on it and pump some serious speed through copper. Whereas like AT&T that drops all of these little fine hair like little line that's like Cat 3 junk cable from like, I don't know, it's from the 80s, right? This is what they use, and then they're trying to get DSL and UVerse through this complete shit. And they want to know why their SNR is off the freaking roof. Their signal to noise ratio is completely screwed, and they can't even bond two pairs together because it's so bad. It's because they're dealing with inferior cable to begin with. But so I do think that Cox and some of the cable companies will stay around. AT&T with this little shit, this is not going to happen. Okay, they're going to have to get rid of all that. Maybe go Wi-Fi type of stuff from the D-slams. If you don't know, a D-slam is that thing that you have in your neighborhood where the fiber goes in and then they pipe out DSL or UVerse. That's basically a D-slam. But they have those D-slams have like little like wireless antennas on them, but they never use them, right? AT&T has been getting so much money from the government to roll out fiber to the home for so many damn years and haven't been doing it. I'm not going to get salty all about that tonight, but I have in the past, and you guys probably have heard it before. It's just complete crap. I think it's a travesty. Elon's gotten a lot of subsidies from the government from doing what he's doing, but he's actually doing something with it. And he's actually sending, internet into the rural areas, off grid, the suburbia, let's call it, where we don't have the fiber to the home. So anyways, yeah, I don't want to get too deep into in the woods in that one. Let's see. What else do we have here? Ian says, customer said, put a metal ring around the top so that the SAT signal, or for us, the induction metal of the heat up in the... I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Ian, help me out here, Ian. This a new router could put in an Ethernet jack. I think the company saving money on the jack. Okay. Yeah, so I get it. So, yeah. So the first, version 1, Starlinks had an Ethernet jack on the back. But the version 2s, they decided to get rid of the Ethernet jack, and they ended up with this damn dongle thing. The dongleification of everything. Apple started this shit, right? Dongle this and dongle that, and everything's a damn dongle, right? Even with the computers. Instead of just having like an Ethernet jack, no, we need a dongle. We need like a USB-C to a dongle of a, an RJ45, whatever. It's just ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, they took it out. I wish they didn't. They did it for cost efficiency. They even took out the little reset button. The old version 1, if you guys didn't know it, the round dish, on the bottom it had a factory reset button. You can hold it in and it would reset the whole damn thing. With the version 2s, you literally have to take it and unplug the router, plug it back in, unplug it, plug it back in, 6 times in a row for it to factory reset. Stupid, but it is what it is. Let's see. Search and Destroy says, Alan Christina. Come on! The same last name. I don't see that very often. That is very, very rare. I've even done some DNA, like that whole ancestry thing. There isn't a lot of Christina with no H, just Christina out there. I have a family that's in Germany and in Sicily. And in Sicily, Christina's been there for so many centuries that the DNA goes back so far that my father's DNA pulls up as like 93 or 94% pure. How's that even a thing? They like use him as a marker. Okay. So, but anyways, yeah, there's not a lot of Christinas out there. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Family on the dad's side from New London, Connecticut. Family on the dad's side from New London, Connecticut. Originally wonder if the cousin... New London, Connecticut. My family was from New London. I was born there in Connecticut. That is really freaky. Send me a DM and we'll hook up. See what's going on with that. That's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. Let's see. Phil Camping in Touring says, could point one Starlink at a different direction. Absolutely. That is a possibility. Big Daddy says, okay, Jay, got working the morning I'll watch. Oh, you got to work in the morning. I'll watch the rest of it tomorrow. Adios. Thank you so much for being here, Big Daddy. Really appreciate you being here. Roy Robbins says, if you want to set up a mesh network, select hide your T-Mobile and log everything into your mesh. Add a few mesh repeaters and you'll be amazed. Absolutely. You can always do repeaters work. Just get good repeaters. There are some repeaters out there that are crap. And I've done some reviews on them and they're horrible. Find some good repeaters. Let's see. Low Tech Greg. How are you doing, Low Tech? How are you doing? It says, according to YouTuber Everlander, Starlink doesn't use T568A and T568B. To plug into a normal or other router, you need to build a sort of a crossover cable. Yeah, so I did a whole video about taking your Starlink cable, chopping it and extending it or fixing it. And I talked about that. And yes, that is a thing. And I used a special splicer. If you look at that video, take a look in that 150. If anyone wants to do that, if you have a Starlink cable that you want to make shorter, if you have a Starlink cable that you want to make longer, don't go too long, that you want to make longer, you have a Starlink cable that your dog decided to chew on, instead of being down for that long, if you buy the simple splicer that I recommend, it includes a grounding wire and stuff that you absolutely need. You can use like Cat 8 cable or burial cable or any type of really good heavy duty gauge, like I would say a 16 to 18 AWG cable, thicker cable that has a grounding in it, and you can use those splicers to create a length longer length or shorter length or whatever you want to do, and actually splice the two ends together. So check into that, because I did do a video on that, and it works out perfectly, absolutely perfectly. American Patriot, watched your DNS video yesterday. I noticed yours was version 2023 14.0. When I looked at mine, yours was 15.0. So there you go. Maybe they updated 15 in one day after release. That happens all the damn time. So right now, let me see if I can even see what we have for Starlink. What is the version that is currently being used? Let me go back into here. And then, yep, it says, let me go and switch this over to the top-down camera. Is it, look at that. Is it flipped? You see that? It flipped again. Why is this so annoying? See, this is once again, let me go and flip it. There you go. So right down here, this is what he was talking about. See right down here, it says 2023 14.0. That's what mine says. Now his is saying 2023 15.0. So I don't know. I'm going to guess that, yeah, I probably have to download the next version. They update these things all the time. So, but yeah, keep it up to date whenever you can, because there's new features that pop up all the time, which is really great. Let's see. Come on. It says search and destroy. It says my family is in Tusa, Sicily, originally. Yeah, my dad is from there. So yeah, you have to definitely look into that last name, and there's probably a relation, because that's not, I don't think, too much of a coincidence there. That would be way too much of a coincidence. So yeah, reach out to me. Send me a DM. You can go to JCristina.com/contact and send me a DM, and we'll hook up and talk for a little bit. Phil Camping and Touring says my surname is DiMaggio. That DiMaggio. Let's see. I know on my dad's side there are relatives in the U.S. I've never met. Don't know where they live. Yeah, I've been doing that whole DNA thing, and there's a lot of things like, the majority of. So I'm literally like from Europe, right? I'm a first generation American. Okay, both of my parents came to this country legally. Don't let me go there. And it took them years to get into this country. They had to learn the presidents. They had to learn the Constitution. They had to learn all of this stuff to get into the country. And they finally, through Ellis Island, through up north, that's why they ended up in Connecticut, they made it to the country. This was, back in the 40s, 50s. So, and once again, they did it legally. They moved in here. But what I find is, I think that it's amazing seeing that there's so many people. When I look up the ancestry, now it's really starting to kind of come together. Like originally, I was like all mixed up. Now they're finally figuring out that, yeah, I'm like almost everything is like, let's say 50% from Sicily and like 50% from Germany. Or it's actually more of the Nordic area, not just Germany. So it's just interesting, right? And once again, this DNA is getting better and better as they get more and more markers in there. So it's really, I think it's fascinating. And I think it's cool how you can actually meet people that you're related to, which is just nuts, right? Just nuts. Let's see. Roy, how are you doing, Roy? How's everything going? Let's see what is up here. It says when you update, now he's coming up with version 16. Just update this in the morning. Wow. So we went from 14 just a couple of days ago to 15. Now we're up to 16. And it says my app version, John says his app version shows up as 16. So there you go. Sometimes too, it has to do with an iPhone to a Android phone. Sometimes the versions get mixed up a little bit, whereas there might be like 14 on an iPhone, whereas it's 16 already on Android phone or whatnot. So check into that. I'm using an iPhone, so I'm on 14. Maybe it moved, maybe it didn't. Let's see. Ray, how are you doing, Ray? Ray says, question. I use two different 192 address on my Google Mesh and Starlink and works Is there any benefit to keep both in the same 192? So if you don't keep your mesh in the same network, then it's very difficult to talk between the two networks, right? You'd have to have a device that will allow you to share, let's say, between networks, which you can do. It's not impossible. But for the most part, for most people out there, the best thing to do is, let's say you're using a network that's 192.168.1.1, which is your router, and now all of your IP addresses is let's say 1.50, 1.51, 1.52, so on and so forth, right? It keeps everything in the same network and everything is happy. You're able to now connect to your printer because it's on the same network as your phone, so on and so forth. When you have multiple networks, you have a 10.10.10.10, you have a 10 dot network, you have a 192 network, and you have another network. Everything starts getting a little bit funky and you're like, oh, wait a second, I got to connect to the other network to go print this. Damn. And it gets to be annoying. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. I have different networks because I have like business networks, and then I have networks where people that are coming over to the house, I will give them a network to use. And usually what I'll do is I'll give them the Starlink 2.4 gigahertz network, which is a little slower than my 5.0 because the 5.0 is what I will be using, right? The 2.4 is guests that come over. It's fast enough, but then it doesn't hurt my speed because they can't go as fast using the 2.4 network. So I use QoS, or quality of service, through one of my switches to be able to do that. But I did a video on that too, so check out the playlist. Let's see. Turing says, hey there, my parents came to Australia 60 years ago. Wow, see? 60 years ago. Ian says, I'm second generation American on father's side, and that's from Scottish, see? From Scott. So, that's why a lot of people are, Americans. Well, Americans are not Americans, right? Americans are from everywhere. This is like a melting pot. And, and that's what I think is absolutely fascinating about America, because we are so mixed up. Right, there is so many different people here from all different walks of life. I've always said that. I've been a proponent. Like, you wouldn't want to go to a garden, right? A flower garden, right? And all of the flowers were gray. Wouldn't that get very boring? But when you go to a flower, like you go to a garden and you see all of these beautiful colors, different shapes, sizes, colors, whatever, that's awesome, right? As an artist, that makes me happy. So I just love that, we are like this melting pot here in the U.S. and a lot of people come in from all over the place. But, for me, I just, I'd like to see them come in just the way my parents came in. And, where it literally took a year or two and there was a lot of learning involved. I think that it's very important. So, that's kind of my take on a lot of the stuff that's been going on. Just kind of makes me a little bit crazy. And I think that, and the reason being is, once again, I'm first generation American. I'm European. But anyways, let's see. Roy says, when you update, he's seeing version 16, which is what a lot of you guys are saying. Anthony says, watching from Starlink. There you go. Mr. Rainbow Butterfly, 15 on the iPhone Starlink app. So you're seeing 15. Interesting. Yeah, so I'm seeing 14 on mine, but I guarantee you if I go and look, it's probably going to say, hey, do you want to upgrade? Matter of fact, what I will do just now, just to see, let me do a search here for Starlink, and let's see what it comes up with. See if it ends up telling me that I need to update. And there you go. Let me go and switch over to the top cam. Let's see. Did it switch back? This damn thing did switch back. Is it reversed? It is reversed. Man, oh man. This thing is just absolutely horrible. There you go. So anyways, you see that? There you go. Starlink update. There it is. I'm going to hit update. I'm going to let it do its thing. And then once this is done, I will see what it ends up showing up as. We'll see in just a minute. Let me switch over to this feed so that you can see my Speedify going. As you can see right now, it says streaming redundantly. All right, so let me get into, there's one more question here. Then I want to get into a couple of the things that we were talking about in the last week that I thought was really interesting. I want to get your thoughts on it. Let's see. Ian says, I was thinking that Starlink router put Ethernet jack back into the work. Yeah. So, and then get rid of this whole dongle mess. It would be great if they would do that. I really would like to see them put an Ethernet jack back on their routers, but honestly, I don't think that they will. And the reason being is it's an added expense. They're trying to go cheaper and not more expensive. So we'll see what happens. There is a version 4 version of the dish that will be coming out very soon, that we've heard of, and I've talked about it in the past, and we did get confirmation that that is in the works. And this version 4 dish is a mini dish. So it's going to be about the same size as a piece of paper, is what I'm speculating. Do I know this 100%? No, but it is going to be a lot smaller than the version 3 that we have, let's say, the version 2 dish that we have. This version 4 dish will be, let's say, the size of a piece of paper, let's say 12 inches by 15 or 12 by 8 or something like that. And supposedly, this dish is going to be able to acquire the same amount of signal strength as what we currently have, which would be, let's say 30% bigger, 40% bigger. So that's really interesting. So how they do that, I don't know. Obviously, there's an array of antennas that are underneath that dish. Maybe they packed more antennas that are smaller into it, or maybe they're using this brand new system that I talked to you guys about, how the FAA just recently allowed for them to increase their signal strength, let's say, their duty cycle. Now, if you don't know what that means, is a duty cycle is basically how long is the dish communicating with the satellite, right? So as of right now, the duty cycle is like around, I think about 6 or 8, let's say, somewhere around there. Supposedly, it's going to be going up to about 17.5% instead of like 8%. So it's literally going to double the duty cycle. And they did this basically so that it's going to increase speed. You're going to have less outages. You're not going to need as many handshakes, or those handshakes will happen really quick because the connection will be connected longer. Okay. The thing is the higher the duty cycle, the more radiation that is produced. So SpaceX had to show that at 17.5% duty cycle, there wasn't going to be an increase of radiation that will be outside of the norm or the allowed allotment of radiation that the FAA is approving. So we're going to see a stronger signal very soon. What I understand, though, is only the version 2 and the version 3, which is the version 2 is the one that we have, that one that's sitting on our roof. The version 3 is the commercial version, which is that 22 by 22, the square one. And of course, the version 4s will be coming out. Those are the only ones that will be able to take advantage of that 17.5% duty cycle in comparison to the version 1s that will not. So a lot of people have written in and said, hey, should I go and buy a new version 2 dish now, since this is going to be coming out? I keep telling people that probably not yet, until we see that there's a true added benefit. Just stick with your version 1, because the version 1 Starlink, they just simply work better in rainstorms and snow. It just has the array, the way it's made, it just simply does better. Okay, so stick with your version 1s for right now, but understand that duty cycle thing is a thing, and it is coming soon, and we're going to see better speeds and less downtime. The reliability is going to get better. Let me just say here, thank you so much, Digit Jockey. Thank you for this super chat. It is really, really appreciated. Thank you for doing that. I just absolutely, I'm always floored when people contribute. They see the value in what I do, and they put in these super chats. It's wonderful. I tell my wife this all the time. I'm like always floored. Anyways, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Let me see here before I get into, I'll get back to this question. Let me just get back into this military thing. I want to know what you guys think about this whole military. I did an article, I did a whole piece on this, and I want to know what you guys think. I was telling you guys that the U.S. military and SpaceX are saying, listen, we're ready for war in space. And I was reading this article. It says Brigadier General Jesse Morehouse at the U.S. Space Command, the arm of the military responsible for space operations, said Russian aggression and China's vision to become the dominant space power by mid-century had left the U.S. with no choice but to prepare for orbital skirmishes. Interesting, right? Satellites underpin the great swathes of modern life, from banking systems to weather forecasts, and are critical for military operations through intelligence gathering, communication, navigation, and guidance. But an over-reliance on satellites means that an attack on a country's orbital assets could have far-reaching consequences. Yes, yes, yes. And I was telling you guys about this and how the Chinese put together this Chinese spacecraft, this plane. It's called like the China plane or something. I don't know. Anyways, it's this plane that would literally go up to 550 kilometers, pull up next to a satellite. Then an arm would come out and grab the satellite and then do whatever it wants to do and then put it back into orbit. And they've done it. They have seen this happen, like I think it was 2 or 3 times. I was like floored. And then Russia blew up one of their satellites just to prove that they can blow up a satellite, which is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. It thing blew up into 1,500 pieces. And now in this specific orbital trajectory, we have this cloud of all of this junk that the Russians had to go and blow up there, right? And what I find fascinating here is that, and I've said this in the past, you cannot blow up a satellite and expect to put, Starlink out of business because they have 4,500 satellites. So what are you going to do? You're going to blow up 4,500 satellites? No. So, I've had this discussion. I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think that this is like a thing? Some people said, hey, you know what? Elon should put like a self-destruct on these satellites. And if the Chinese plane pulls up, sends its arm out and grabs the satellite, it just self-destructs. And I'm like, that'd be interesting. That would be an interesting thing. But I don't think Elon will do it. And the reason being is he doesn't need to. If they took down 4 or 5, if they took out 50 satellites, he would give 2 craps. Because literally in one fairing on the top of a Falcon 9 rocket is another 51 to 55 satellites. Who cares, right? It's kind of like a futile type of thing. But what do you guys think? Do you think that we're going to start seeing more of this space wars happening where we have like lasers that are, instead of communication lasers, that are actually lasers that put other satellites out of commission, microwaves, all kinds of other type of methods of, let's say, hurting satellites, right? Do you think that this is a thing? Let me know in the comments. What do you think is going on with that? Is that something that is real? Because I know when I look at this, it sure does feel that way. And when I was reading this article, I was really fascinated by hearing that China has a means of actually inserting a small, like tiny explosive into the propulsion system of a satellite and then go off on its merry way and not detonate it and just let it sit there indefinitely until it feels like it, and then it detonates it and it's like, oh, your propulsion system blew up. I don't know, right? So that was kind of interesting too, that they would actually have that capability. I was like, wow, that is nuts. But anyways, let me get back into some of these comments real quick here. Let's see. We have Digit Jockey. I want to thank you. I have followed you in Starlink, Mesh Networks, Managed Switch, T-Mobile, etc. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now my wife is able to work from home. We live where we could only get maybe 10 down and 1 up. Likewise, you are. I feel you. I feel you, brother. She uses company-supplied computer system with VoIP, or voice over IP, obviously for phone. Looking forward to setting up Speedify. Absolutely, set it up. get T-Mobile, get Verizon, get a secondary source, use your Starlink as a primary, use this other source as a secondary. Your wife will never ever go down, and you'll be happier than pig and shit, to be completely honest with you. I have to be frank, because I had AT&T just like you, 15 megs down instead of 10. I had 1.5 megs up, you had 1, and that was it for like a decade. And these people used to say all the time, we're going to bring fiber. If I go and put in my address right now on AT&T, it says fiber's coming soon. It literally says fiber is coming soon. But it has said that for like 11 years now on the same damn page. All right? These people are charlatans, right? They're shady, and they just take money from the government and they give nothing in return. Just my personal opinion. Anyways, congratulations. Thank you so much once again on that super chat. I really do appreciate it. John K. Wolf says, I love my T-Mobile home. I do too. Let me be frank about T-Mobile, because I'm very honest, right? You know, when you come to this channel, I don't like kind of pull punches. I'm not here to like, make friends, or I am not like a fanboy of any company, right? Yes, I love Starlink, but every time there's a problem, who's the first to report on it, right? Me. I tell you about it. Anyways, T-Mobile, I was going to move 100% over to T-Mobile from AT&T, and I got the T-Mobile router. Everything was great. But then I got the phones they sent me over cards, these burner cards, to test out for 2-3 weeks just to see if they're working, and I was able to throw them away if I didn't want to. Well, what happened is I was not able to test my wife's card in her phone at her job because she was away. And so being, this time passed, and now all of a sudden they didn't want to give me the $800 like they said that they were going to. And I went from manager to manager to manager. This is an $800 to basically pay off your phone with one company and bring it over to T-Mobile. And I'm telling you, these guys over there, these people, it didn't matter what I did, what I said, even though they screwed up. This is T-Mobile now. Even though they screwed up, they would not fix it. So I ended up going back with AT&T for my phones, and I have T-Mobile for the home internet. Do I like the T-Mobile home internet? I do. I think it's fantastic. But their service center and the people that you talk to over there, because I talk to a lot, they're all managers and they don't know shit. They literally don't know their own system at all. Okay, and this is not just T-Mobile. This is a lot of these companies, right? They outsource their customer service to places who knows where, and they're going by the book, and they're like, oh yeah, page 73. Yeah, no, I have nothing for you. I'm going to give you my supervisor, okay? Anyways, really, really, really bad experience with T-Mobile. That being said, I do have the T-Mobile internet. And if Verizon became available in my area, I will get Verizon home internet too, so that I can show you guys the difference between Verizon and T-Mobile. But when I go and put in my address, it says, sorry, it's not available, even though it's the same damn tower. So it is what it is. Anyways, I just have to tell you this because I think it's important. I don't pull punches, and whenever you hear stuff on this channel, it is unbiased. I tell you exactly how it is and what happens, and I hope you guys appreciate that. Anyways, let me get back to some of the questions here. We have Joe. Joe says, I've got version 1. Absolutely no problem. Yeah, the version 1 is that oblong dish, and it works out great. And you have an Ethernet on the back. You don't need a dongle. No dongle is good. Let's see. You do have a PoE injector, which kind of, whatever. It still works. John says, question, what app do you use to get local channels on your TV? That is a great question. So right now we're using, for our TV, we're using a Fire Stick. So I have Amazon Prime. So I have Amazon Prime app on the Fire Stick. I have other apps on the Fire Stick, and I use the Fire Stick because I like the remote, right? It does a pretty decent job. Is it the best? when you come from like Dish Network or DirecTV and every channel has a damn number, and then you go to, one of these services where there is no number and like every channel is in alphabetical order and there's like 500 damn channels and you can't find anything. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Okay. I mean, I won't lie. It is, but it is quick. And it does a pretty good job. So I would say give the Fire Stick, a check, a test drive. What is it? Chromecast. Use a few of them and see which interface you like the best. For me, I liked the Fire Stick, but your miles may vary. Check it out. See which one kind of works with you best. Let's see here. Phil says Star Wars, absolutely. Darth Vader, yes. You have no affiliate filter. I do not have an affiliate filter. That's just the way I am. I tell you, Low Tech Greg, I can't. And like anytime there's a company that comes aboard, I let them know, listen, I'm going to test your crap out. And if it is no good, right, I am not going to talk about it. And that is just it. Right? I'm not going to give you just crap review. I'm just not going to review it. So, and they understand that. They will send me in stuff, and there's a lot, I get so much stuff in here. I can't tell you how many mics that are just sitting that I just won't even review because they're just junk. Just junk. They sound like tin. People send me stuff all the time. And whenever I review something and I show it to you, it's like, it's going to be good, or I'm not going to bother. That's just how it is. And like I said, I put that in the quote unquote contract right up front that I will say that you sent me something, but I'm not going to review it unless I actually like it. It's just not worth it for me. I got other stuff to do, a lot of other stuff to do. Let me see. Ian says they may have let me see where a non-compete clue so that one company will not compete in that area in the max profit. That's possible. Non-competes are a thing. It's a possibility. Let's see. Jockeying AT&T logo is a Death Star. It really is. It really is. Mr. Rainbow Butterfly 13 defense by any means necessary. Starlink. Yeah, I just don't think that they need defense. I just don't. And the reason being is there's so many satellites now. 4,500 satellites as of right now, and that number is only growing. You know that. Let them blow them out of the air. Okay. And what's going to happen is, can you imagine if Russia, for example, or China blew like 50 Starlink satellites out of the air? What would happen? Elon wouldn't have to do nothing. The government would immediately jump on that. Immediately. And that'd be it. He would just, you guys do your military shit, because I'm going to send another 50 satellites up, and that's going to be it. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I think that's the way he is. He's more, if you piss him off, he's going to spend $44 billion to fix a problem. He's one of those type of people, which I really admire, and we need more of those, if you like him or not. But I do think that is very powerful. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I started using Twitter again. I used to use Twitter all the time. I had over 22,000 followers on Twitter. I think there's like 18 or 19,000 over on Twitter. If you don't know, go to twitter.com/JCristina, my full name. Anyways, I had over 20,000 there. I stopped using it because it got so just crazy woke. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's like you couldn't write anything. You couldn't do anything. It was kind of like when the whole virus shit was happening here on YouTube. You couldn't even say the word or you'd be demonetized. It's like, there's so many things that, happen or that are happening that when I see it, I've been around for a few years, I'm not 20 or 30 years old. And it's just, man, I don't know what has gone on. It's just horrible. Anyways, so yeah, it's definitely, it's an interesting time that we live in right now. And let me see, low tech, let's see, Flying Pretzel is here. How is the Newman mics? Yeah. So right now, actually, the mic that we're using, or one of the mics that we're using, is, I think they're Samsung. Yeah, I think they're Samsung mics, I believe. Anyways, I want to do a review on these. I love these mics. I think they sound clear, right? Not bad for being little tiny pencil condenser mics. They literally are about, the size of this. That's like the whole mic. Right about that. Maybe even a tiny bit smaller. Just crazy, right? They do a fantastic job for literally a fifth of the price of the RE20 that I have here. Let's see. John says, on my laptop, and I can't find my Wi-Fi name on it, but on my other computer, it's there. Any help? That's strange. That is really weird. You should be able to find it. That doesn't make any sense. So normally, whenever you log into your networks, no matter what it is, it's going to find the SSID, which is the name, wherever you are. So it's going to be a computer type of thing. Just check into your computer, reboot it or something, because it should show up. If it shows up on your phone, if you go into your phone and then go into your to see what Wi-Fi networks are there, if it shows up there, it should show up on your phone. It should show up on your computer. If not, you have a problem there. Joe says, question. Let's change the subject for a moment. Do mirrorless cameras take better photos than SLR cameras? So that's a great question. And the answer is no. They take identical pictures. So the real difference between a mirrorless camera and a mirrored camera is what you're looking at, right? So with a mirrorless camera, you're looking at augmented reality. You're looking through an EVF, which is an electronic viewfinder. Whereas with an SLR, you're looking through an OVF, right? Which is you're literally looking straight through a mirror that is flopping what you're seeing out of the lens. So you're literally seeing the real world out of your viewfinder, your OVF on an SLR. That's really the difference. There's not that much of it. Now, there is other functionality. There's certain things that work out better on mirrorless cameras. Then there's certain things that are better on a mirrored camera. For example, if you're doing high-speed flash, sometimes a mirrorless camera won't do it that well, right? Some of the mirrorless cameras, I think the latest Nikon camera, I think no longer has a mirror at all. So what that means is if you're doing high-speed flash photography and there's no mirror, you can end up with some banding, you can end up with some crazy-ass shit. So, it's really, use the best tool for the job. You're not going to use a sledgehammer to put in a tack into your wall, right? It would make no sense. So you use the right, using the right camera is what's so important. For me, it's not really about the camera, it's about the lenses. Find the lens that works best for you, for the job that you're doing, and then pair it with the camera that you want or that you can afford. The lens is 10 times more important than the camera. The camera is like toilet paper. You're constantly throwing it out. The lens is for a lifetime. Normally you keep lenses for a long period of time, and it goes through iterations upon iterations upon iterations of cameras. So that's my suggestion on the photography side. Let's see. Ian says, sounds great. Alan Banks, how you doing, Alan? Says, out of town, trying to run home speed test, getting the speeds. This speed test will run over your cellular connection, connect directly to your Starlink network to run Starlink speed test. How do I do this? So, are you trying, Alan, to find out the speed that you're getting through your network or through your router or through your phone or what? And the reason being is your speeds are going to vary. For example, if you're connecting if you're connecting, let's say, and you say home. So if you're at home and you're trying to do a speed test, you can do a speed test through your browser, right? And go to speedtest.net and do a speed test that way. Or you can go into your app, into your Starlink app, and do a speed test there and test it directly from the router. But what I've found is that, let me see, it says I'm getting close to 400 on my cell phone. Yeah, so that 400 that you're getting most likely is just the speed between your cell phone and the router, because I have not seen a 400 download speed from Starlink ever. So unless you're on some kind of fiber, you're just not going to get that. But what I've found is the speed tests that go through the actual router itself, they're just off. I don't know what the hell is going on with them. I'll do a speed test from speedtest.net and I'll get one reading, and then I'll go from the app and I'm getting an altogether different reading. So, use all these speed tests, take it all with a grain of salt. And the most important thing is, are you getting good connectivity? And if you're not, why? What is going on? Is it your DNS? Is it your dropping, service? When you look up, do you have obstructions? Do you have a wire going bad? What is going on? That kind of thing. That's the type of stuff that I look into fixing. Let's see. Phil Camping and Touring says, anyone seen the new, let me see, degenerative filter in Photoshop just released? I have not seen that new beta version. Really? That's kind of cool. I have not seen that, Phil. Phil says mirrorless are more compact. For the most part, yeah, you don't need the mirror in it, so it's going to be slightly more compact. You're going to use more battery, right? Because you have an EVF, so you have to project that screen. With the mirrorless camera, remember, you have that EVF, and meaning you're seeing an augmented reality. So what that means is when you set up your settings in your camera can show you in the EVF exactly what the picture is going to look like. Whereas through an OVF, you're actually seeing the world straight through the lens. Your settings will not show in your OVF, right? Because it's the real world at that point. When you take the picture, now you got a chimp on the back and say, oh, yeah, I screwed that up, right? Let's go ahead and fix that aperture there and take it again. Whereas with a mirrorless camera, when you look through it, you can literally change your aperture, be a little brighter, a little bit less, whatever. Take the picture. What you see is what you get. WYSIWYG. That is one of the reasons a lot of people like mirrorless today. Let's see. Roy Robbins says the Recast has 1 terabyte of storage for recording. I didn't know that. What is the Recast anyways? What is that? Is that another like Fire Stick type of thing? I don't know. Let me know about that, because I'm always looking for something new. Let me also, I want to get your guys' thoughts on something, because I was talking about this. I think it was like at the beginning of the week, and then I'm probably gonna let you guys go. I want to know what you guys think about the let me see, where is it here? Bear with me. We were talking about cameras, right? And I did a whole piece on the Sony versus the Sony ZV-1, like I have right here, and the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. Did anyone buy a ZV-1 Mark II or any of the new Sony cameras? Let me know, because I feel like a lot of people are like moving to Nikon, and they're not as enthusiastic about the Sonys as of late, or they're going with the Canons, which is really weird because Sony was so big for so many years, and I just feel like I've been hearing a lot of hype on the other cameras. If you guys have bought a camera recently, what camera is it? And what's the camera type, and what is the brand? What is it? I would love to know. Let's see. Ian says, saw Asus store is using a 612 SSD, but 1000 megabits per second. So that is a fast SSD in there. Wow. Yeah. So right now, with the SSDs, a lot of people are using SSDs, and some of them are really good, some of them are a little bit weaker than others. But what's really nice is if you're doing any kind of editing, using an SSD is just golden, because it's so much faster than using a conventional hard drive that's spinning, right? So SSDs are big. The only thing that I would say using, you don't see as much of yet, because there's not as much space available, is in like, for example, my server, where I have all of my Unraid server, where I have all my data, like 40 terabytes of data. It'd be very difficult to put all of that on SSDs. It's just going to be too expensive to be able to do it. But they're getting there. They're definitely getting there. Let's see. Anyways, guys, let me just say I'm going to be hanging out with you guys for probably about another maybe 5 minutes. So if anyone has any last minute questions, let me know. And then I'll let you guys go, because I know we've been around for getting close to 2 hours, about an hour and 50 minutes. So we'll cut it off at maybe 2 hours tonight. And hopefully next week, my wife will be here. That would be kind of cool. We will see what ends up happening with that. Joe says there is no art in photography anymore. Everything is photoshopped now. Well, I mean, I agree with that. I do agree with it. It's, all of my fine artwork that I showed in galleries in the past has always been done with chemical prints, with film. And the reason being is I love black and white film, and I have an old SLT 102, I think it is, which is just, I absolutely love Minolta. Anyways, yeah, but you got to remember the other thing, the other side of this, Joe, is, back in the day, our art was done in the chemical side of things, right? In the dark room. Now, our art is happening through Photoshop, or through, for me, I would use Affinity Photo. I don't use Photoshop. That's another one of those companies that I will not back at all. There's a lot of people that give, Adobe a ton of money every year, and I just won't do it. And I did that whole Life After Adobe Cutting the Cord series, and I got rid of them completely. And I did a whole playlist just on Adobe Cutting the Cord. I have a shirt, matter of fact, Life After Adobe. Anyways, I just think that, working in Photoshop, or for me, working in Affinity Photo and creating photos from nothing, like taking a photo, then enhancing it, and then maybe combining, work, it's becoming more of a art form in comparison to photography. Like, a photographer is really not a photographer anymore, per se. They will take the initial shot, but then the picture that they show you sometimes can be so manipulated that at that point it's kind of like artwork, right? The photo becomes art because there's multiple photos. Sometimes the skies are being digitally replaced through AI, all this kind of crap. So, the image that you see is not what actually was there, what the photographer saw. It is, though, what the photographer wanted to see. It was a vision that they had in their head, and they were able to produce it using these pieces of software. So I just think that it should just be called art, and not, photography so much anymore, unless it is just straight photography. And there is some of that out there, but there's not as much of that anymore going on, So anyways, that's my thoughts on it. I am an artist, I paint, I draw, matter of fact, right now I'm working on a tattoo. And I'm drawing the entire thing on the iPad Pro. I'm working on all of the shirts that I've been doing. Matter of fact, if you guys haven't seen it, some of you have, some of you haven't. If you take a look, this is the website. If you come over here, this is JCristina.com. If you go to shop, you can see the products that I've invented. Here's all the Dark Moon tees. Those are all of my tees. Right, there's like 5 or 6 of those. You can take a look at any of these. These are all of this is the Misty Morning. But then here you can see this cleaner. This is the Aurora microfiber cleaning cloths. Here is the camera cleaning. This is actually a sensor cleaning kit, right? We have full frame APS-C as well as micro 4/3 sensor cleaning. I have the PRT. This right here is specifically for dialing in your color, white balance, and finally, we have Focus Pyramid here, which is an autofocus lens calibration tool that I invented about a decade ago. Well, here's all of the images of the merch that I've designed. These are the cups. Here's a cup that you can see that I'm using right now. And then down here, we can see this is the logo. We have Mediocrity is no longer acceptable. These are all shirts. We have the photo shirt that looks like this. We have this is my time machine. There it is, absolutely. And then here's the Life After Adobe, cutting the cord I was telling you about. And this one right here, I just created last week. This is Megabit. This is my little cool dude with you have a little satellite, you have the moon, this little guy here. I put this on a shirt. I was wearing this the other day. I got 1776. I was inspired. Obviously, we had Memorial Day coming up, and I put this together. This is a lot of people bought this one. And then, of course, the tea time. But I am continuously making new merch, but I'm doing it. I'm making these designs on the iPad, the big monster 13-inch iPad, because I'm an artist, right? I went to school for fine art. I also went to school for computers. I also got a degree in child psychology and sociology. I was one of those people, right? From school to school, doing all. I still don't know what the hell I want to do when I grow up. But anyway, so I've been, so this is the kind of stuff. I love art, and this is what I use, like, for example, the iPad for, is to create merch, right now, like I was saying, I was working on a tattoo. I work on stuff all the time using this type of media. And I just love it. I love painting, but being able to do this and just sit in front of the TV and be able to draw and sketch and stuff is just amazing to be able to do it, to me, at least. Let me get back over to here. Let me see. Let's see if we have some more questions here. How's the off-grid stuff going? That's Ian. Yes. I had a couple of companies that wanted to send me out batteries to test out. They wanted to send out one battery. I said no, I needed more because I can't just do one battery. What the hell am I going to do with that? They said no, we can't send out more. I said okay, then we won't do it. So, if you know of a battery company, a litho company that wants to actually send out a bunch of batteries so we can do some testing, because I want to build a project running the Starlink basically on solar. But I need certain components, and if the companies aren't willing to provide them, then, it is what it is. I understand that some of these batteries are very expensive. Some of them are up to like $1,500 a damn battery. So, we do need to get a few of them. So if anyone knows different companies that might want to get on board, this is the type of stuff. Yes, we're doing all kinds of off-grid stuff. So any company that wants to reach out to me about off-grid stuff, could be solar, could be battery, it could be any of this stuff. It could be well pumps, running on solar. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to start doing some of that. But like I said, I'm waiting. I've been having a lot of conversations, a lot of Zoom meetings and stuff. Some of the companies are okay. Some of these companies are coming in from China, and then it's harder to have meetings with them. But I'm working on it. But yes, I want to do more on the off-grid type of stuff, and it is coming. But we'll see. Let's see. Ian says, or Phil says, my mesh setup has increased ping. Really, it shouldn't, but sometimes that does happen. It depends on the mesh. Reboot all of your mesh nodes and see what happens. Sometimes that fixes things. They get fluky, kind of just funky sometimes. Magnetic Storm 25 says, thanks for the information on T-Mobile. Was thinking of replacing Viasat with T-Mobile for my secondary. Viasat just raised their price, but it is the only other secondary option. So get rid of Viasat. If you have HughesNet, get rid of HughesNet. Okay, they are milking people. They've made enough money. Right? They've made enough money. Use Verizon Home Internet, use T-Mobile Home Internet, use Starlink, use any of this stuff, use something else. Just get rid of that geocentric type of satellite service. They just want too much money for too little. Too much for too little. So yeah, Magnetic Storm 25, definitely try out. If you can get T-Mobile in your area, I have a project that I'm working on. Stay tuned. And it's going to be able to... I'm going to show you how to use these certain antennas to get better signal, even where you do not have good signal. So hang in there. I have something coming I'm really excited about. And they just got here, so I'll probably work on it next week. So subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click the little button, do all of that kind of stuff, right? So I will be doing something on that very soon. Let's see. Roy Robbins, T-Mobile has a 2-week program where you can borrow the home unit and try it. 100% the case. Absolutely, Roy is right. And that's exactly what I did. I borrowed the T-Mobile. They gave it to me. The router tested it out. After 2 weeks, if you want it, you keep it. If you don't want it, you box it back up and send it back. Period. If you can get T-Mobile in your area, do it. It's definitely worth giving it a shot. And once again, if you're getting crap signal, watch my video next week. All right? You will be happy about it. Let's see. Low Tech Greg says build your own batteries. Yes, we can go cell level. We can build our own batteries. I was thinking about that, but we still have to do it. A lot of these batteries, these days have a lot of internal components, heat. Anyways, so I don't know. I was thinking about it. We'll see. It's definitely cheaper. Low Tech Greg, it's definitely cheaper to build my own, for sure. I mean, there's no question about it. If you have any information on it, definitely DM me. I'm a sponge. Send me any information on batteries, on solar, on whatever you have, anything that you have. Anthony says, I just called and they said they don't have enough capacity for T-Mobile Home Internet Unlimited. No shit. What does that even mean? Really, Anthony? They don't have enough capacity for unlimited home? Maybe it's just in your area. That's possible. And the reason being, just so you guys know, I was talking to the engineers over there at T-Mobile during my whole entire T-Mobile thing, where it was horrible. Anyways, I was talking to the engineers over there, and what they're doing is all of the Sprint towers are being retrofitted with 5G right now. So if you have a Sprint tower near you that used to be Sprint and now it's T-Mobile, they are upgrading them right now, and you're going to start seeing 5G like everywhere with T-Mobile. They are rolling out a ton. They are doing a lot. So it's really exciting what's going on with them right now. It's Deutsche Telekom, right, from overseas. Anyways, T-Mobile is, the one to watch. And once again, now that Starlink and, Elon has gotten together with T-Mobile, what's really good about this is they're going to be doing that backhauling for each other. So that is going to be something interesting to watch also. Keep that in mind. Let's see. Onceler says, what's up, my dude? What's up? How are you doing? How are you doing tonight? Let's see. Roy Robbins said, I just returned from a 2-week RV trip. No hookups. I hear you. Let's see. Anthony says, not enough signal for 5G. Yes. So in my area, I do not have 5G either. And sometimes it's not that there's no 5G in your area. Okay. Sometimes the reason you're not getting 5G is the tower that's closest to you does not have that specific frequency that 5G is running on. I think it's 66, 27, 66, whatever it is. Anyways, they don't have that frequency on the tower. That means that they have to put that extra dish thing, right, on the tower. So it might not be that 5G is just not available in your area. It might be that it actually isn't available because the tower near you doesn't have it, which is fine. Mine right now only has LTE, which is 4G LTE. And I'm getting on my T-Mobile about 70 to 90 megs down and about 26 megs up. That's pretty damn good for $50 a month, guys. 50. All right, 50. And after I work on this antenna thing project that I'm working on next week, I'm going to say I'm going to get over 100 megs down. This is my prediction. You guys are here, all right? Mark my words. I could be wrong. But I'm going to predict 100 megs down out of this damn thing, maybe even more, for $50. That's sick. Unlimited. Okay, so, we'll see what ends up happening. Let's see. Onceler says, I love your stream and the music in the background. I think the music is still going. Thank you for that. I have it down to, let's see, negative 35 decibels. So it should be like really, really light in the background, which would be, it's nice, right? A little bit of something just going on in the back. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thank you. John Wolf says Amazon is going in with the phone company. I just heard. What are they doing? What exactly you mean, John? Are they going in with who? I know Amazon and Bezos and all the rest of these people with this whole OneWeb, and then you have the other, what is it, Kuiper, whatever it is, and they're all trying to compete with Elon. The problem is they're so far behind the 8 ball. They need Elon's rockets just to be able to get their satellites in orbit. It's just not going to happen. I don't see it. They're going to try, and they'll do their best, but they're going to have to spend double just to be able to make anything out of it. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Roy Robbins, thank you so much for becoming a premium subscriber. Really do appreciate that. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Love to have you. So glad you're here. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your support. All the folks that have been donating over the last couple of weeks, thank you so much for the super chats. Also, so many of you guys donated when I was doing the 3,000 push-up challenge. That's over now for the month of May. Guys, we ended up raising $2,327 and change for the kids with cancer. You guys are just awesome. That is great. I ended up doing probably, I don't even know, a lot more than 3,000, but I did a lot of push-ups. And it was an awesome thing to be able to do. And you guys are just great for being able just to contribute, right? Some people gave $100, some people gave $5. It didn't matter, but it all totaled over $2,300, almost $2,400 for the kids at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, the kids with cancer. So thanks for that. That was just awesome. The last time I did this, I did No Shave November, and we raised $1,400. So we literally raised about 1,000 more this year than we did last year. Awesome. That's awesome. And next year, maybe we can double it again, and we can raise 3,000 or more for the kids. That would be great. Anyways, so I just wanted to say thank you. I did that in a video, I believe, but I want to do it here for you guys that are live. Anthony says, let me see. Phil says that's the best way. Roy, no hookup. Yes. Cynthia says, question: in Starlink app, I have WPA2. Can you get WPA3 security? I don't think so. I think that Starlink is only WPA2. If you want WPA3 security, I would say bypass the Starlink router. I teach you guys how to do it. Matter of fact, go look at the video. Go and bypass, put the router into bypass mode, and then use like a secondary router or a third-party router, and then you'll be able to use your WPA, WPA2, WPA3. I think it's WPA4 now. I don't know. Anyways, you can use the better security if you need it. But it's going to be one of the AX routers, like an AX 6400, and one of the better. Don't get a cheap router. If you're going to bypass Starlink's router, make sure you get a good router, or don't do it at all, because Starlink's router is pretty damn good for what it is. And the distance that it travels, this antenna in it, is amazing, considering there's no external antenna. It's not like a 5 or a 10 dB gain antenna out the top or something. There's nothing. It's just inside two little kits. It's crazy. Anyways, they do a good job. If you want a secondary router or a third-party router, get a good one. But yeah, that's the only way you're going to get the added security if you need it. Once again, Phil, let's see. Phil says you should see my SUV. We call them four-wheel drive here. It's got a full. Oh, you do have the Victron setup. So I built my own, and it has 330 amp hours lithium battery. 330 is a lot of amp hours. I mean, those 100 amp hour batteries are so damn expensive. Did you build those batteries themselves, and you put that Victron with a controller, I suppose, on there or whatever? I would love to hear the story on how you did it and what you're using. Let's see. Low Tech Greg says I use 104 amp cells. Wow, or 304 amp cells. Amp hour cells. That's pretty amazing there. Anyways, guys, let me just say thank you so much for being here. It is Friday. Once again, TGIF. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening and a great weekend. Many blessings to all of you. Hopefully, once again, tomorrow, or I should say next week on Friday, my wife will be back with us. I don't know. We will see. Hopefully, she feels better. We're just going to let her rest this weekend. So, once again, thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. I know this went long. We're just over 2 hours, but we'll see you in the next one. Once again, God bless. We'll see you. Take care.